Shalom, brothers and sisters. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you from Yahuwah the Father and Yahusha our Mashiach, his voice. Hear, O Yasharol, Yahuwah our mighty one is one Yahuwah. This is Brother David coming to you again to ask the question: are there different species of humans on this planet? This is part 5. African American. Now from part 4, I asked a question. Before I get into the question, I want to point out a mistake that I made. I said continue to part 6. It should have been part 5. Forgive me. But the question was, is white skin a blessing? Is it a curse? Is it a plague? Is it a mutation? My answer: all of the above. Well, Brother David, why is it a blessing? White skin is the standard today. It gives you privilege. So for them, it is a blessing. Now we're dealing with African American today. Who created this stuff? Saying we're from 2 separate continents? If anyone knows the origin of this African American phrase, put it on the comment board. Here's another one. Both of these young ladies here are considered to be African American girls. They're also considered to be black. Is there something wrong with our vision? Should we believe what we hear or believe what we see? Look at the young lady to the left. She has dark skin. Her hair is black. Her skin is close to the color of her hair. If you want to attach a label to her, you can say she's black. We went to school, didn't we? We had crayon boxes. The black crayon would match the young lady to our left. Now look at the young lady to your right. She's considered to be African American, and she's also considered to be black. I guess they say don't believe what you see, just believe what you hear. Where did this come from? Have you ever heard of the one-drop rule here in the United States of America? The Europeans created that one-drop rule. If you have an ancestor from sub-Saharan Africa, you're considered to be black, even if you look like this. I, Brother David, I am brown. If we're going to put a label on everyone, right? Let's do this. Brother David, I'm brown. In the Bible, we have only 3 colors that it mentions. It mentions Cush. Cush means burnt face. That's the young lady to the left. Ruddy. Ruddy means a reddish, brownish hue. That's me, Brother David. And then you have Laban. It means white. So you could say the girl to the left is Cush, burnt face. You can say if you saw Brother David, he's a reddish brown hue. What color would you say the young lady is? She is white. Now, let's reverse this thing. Let's say the standard, or the so-called people, are white, like the young lady on the right. And our young lady with the dark skin on the left, she wants to be like the young lady on the right. So she puts on her application, her job application, her resume, that she is white, she is a Caucasian, and goes for an interview. When it's her turn to go into the room before the Europeans, they look at her resume and they says, oh, she's a young Caucasian girl. Bring her in. When she comes in, she has this black skin. The Europeans look at her and says, excuse me, miss, we're waiting for someone else. She says, but they said it's my turn. And they says, well, we're waiting for a young lady who says that she is white and you are black. She said, that's me. I am white. She just took a label upon herself and attached it to a resume. Do you think that the Europeans are going to accept that? Why is it that we, as so-called African Americans, the children of Yasharal, accept anything that they put upon us? The young lady on the right is actually white in her color. If her father is black and her mother is white, then she comes from the lineage that poured in from sub-Saharan Africa. If her father is white, then she's from the other humans. Whoever your father is dictates who you are. Let's put this mess to rest. The Bible explains and shows us what color looks like. When we were brought over here in ships, there was no white people on those ships that were in chains. They were all black or brown. There's no white represented here, except for the Europeans, the sailors. Everyone else in the crowd that were captured from sub-Saharan Africa were either brown or black, Kush or ruddy. Even on the walls of ancient antiquity, you do not find that color. These are slaves in Egypt. Now, we know we can go to this because our ancestors were slaves in Egypt. There is no Laban here. And these, you see these pictures, they're thousands of years old. They're pretty much worn out. To your left is one that is pretty much intact. You see how they represent color. That ruddy, reddish, brown hue. That's just like most of us here in America today. That's what we look like when we stand in the sun. And then we have the Kush, the burnt face, the black. See, they knew how to represent color. Did they know what white was? Look at the cow. He has black spots with white skin. You see that? Come over to the picture on your right. You see the young ladies are ruddy. And you see the people that they have their hands up to are a darker shade of hue. It's worn out some. So, I mean, you can really see it because look at the hand of the people. It's really dark. And, you know, the paint is wearing out over years. There was only two colors represented on those slave ships that came over here from sub-Saharan Africa. Now here's your third color. Laban. White. Did you know none of our ancestors wanted to look like this? It's different now, right? Because white has privilege. Now we're bleaching our skin. But in our ancient days, before we even came to the Americas and were sent around the world in ships, to see a person that looked like this, it's very scary. Because this is a mutation. The scientists have proved it. To have white skin is a mutation. Do you see he still has Negroid features? He's not from the other humans. He was born from the womb of the black woman and the black man. But there was a mutation in her womb that brought forth what they call today an albino. He has a condition called albinism. Did you know that Europeans have this same condition? Albinism? When they do their research to find new medicines and cures for their conditions, they don't use a melanated mouse. It's always a white mouse that's created in the lab with red eyes. They do not exist in nature. Did you know that? So when you take their medicines, remember, their research is only done for them. These medicines that they're creating could destroy your melanin. Maybe that's why so many of us are starting to get this thing called vitiligo, because of what we're eating, what we're drinking, or mixing with the Europeans. Black father, white mother. We're just using those terms, black, white, what we're used to, so that I can get through this. The brother really, in all reality, is ruddy. He's brown. He has that reddish brown hue. If you put him in the sun and you go out and look at him, you will see it. Do the test yourself. It's a simple test. Just wait for a sunny day. Go out there and look at your spouse if they have this color skin. Now, in the 50s and the 60s, this brother would not be taking this picture. He would be found in the newspaper hanging from a tree. You couldn't even look at a white woman. You couldn't whistle at a white woman. Just think having a baby with a white woman. But now it's becoming commonplace. They're even promoting it on television. The righteous seed, the Y chromosome that comes from the man, has been preserved here in America until this time. We could not mix with them. They were the ones who was doing all of the mixing. All of the light skin that you find that has come out through the generations has come from the Europeans, not from our brothers. But now we have a new hybrid that is coming out. The seed of Yasharol is being mixed. That righteous seed of Yasharol is being mixed with another human. Look at the baby. She is so cute. When she grows up, you wouldn't know whether or not she was born of two black parents. That's what you would probably think. But she would have a father who has black skin. I'm going to use black, ruddy. And then you have a mother who has white skin and red hair. If her hair is really red, then it means she has two mutations. The scientists proved that, didn't they? Red hair is a mutation. White skin is a mutation. So basically, in all reality, what the brother did was place this righteous seed into another human who has two mutations. Now, this is the common part. White father, black mother. Look at the young lady. She's ruddy. Her skin has that reddish brown hue. Put her in the sun, you'll see it. But this is the mixing event that's been going on for the 400 years since we've been here in this country. This is where light skin amongst us comes from. Remember, there was only two colors that came over in the ships, that ruddy brown and that burnt face color. There was no white. There was none of the light skins or what we call red bone today. None of that existed until we came here and the Europeans raped our women repeatedly for almost 400 years, brothers and sisters. Now look at the product. The white man, the other human, has spread his seed into the woman, the daughter of Zion, and produced a white baby with gray eyes. I know she's probably saying, well, at least my child won't have to go through all of the pain and the torture that I went through here in America. He will be accepted. No, he won't. Once they see you, he's going to be denied. But this is how we have developed white skin, because of these two parties. Now, if you have a black father, your seed is spoiled. But if you have a white father, you're from a whole different bloodline altogether from the other humans. Tales of African American History Found in DNA. New York Times. I tried to find the most valid statements that you can find in the books when they've researched us. There's very little research done on us, brothers and sisters, at least in the open. Everything is done in the background. But this one was released. The scientists were able to pinpoint stretches of DNA in the subjects that originated on different continents. According to their calculations, the ancestors of the average African American, I guess that's us, today were 82.1% African, 16.7% European, and 1.2% Native American. If you have 20% of this Neanderthal genome, that's approximately about 0.4%, 0.4% of Neanderthal DNA inside of you. The European DNA in African Americans, on the other hand, occurs in slightly longer chunks, indicating a more recent origin. Dr. Grayville and his colleagues estimate that its introduction dates to the decades before the Civil War. The scientists gave some attention to the X chromosome in particular because its role in sex determination. One X chromosome is inherited from mothers. Fathers may contribute a Y or an X. So they were examining this X chromosome. This X chromosome that they examined came specifically from the mother. The researchers observed that the X chromosome of African Americans has a greater African ancestry than other chromosomes. Dr. Grayville and his colleagues believe his variation is explained by European men and African women producing children. In other words, slave owners raping the women they held captive. Did you hear that? So the X chromosome came from the woman. So all of the people who were mixed with this European blood during slavery, straight on down into the 50s and into the 70s, it happened through the woman's womb. The European man that has that Neanderthal genome were either raping our black women, or the black women were gravitating towards them and forming relationships. How can this happen? My people perish for lack of knowledge. We didn't have any knowledge about this. We didn't know what we were looking at. The vast majority, brothers and sisters, of people who have lighter skin have a European descent. Do you understand me? It doesn't matter whether the mother is black or not. If the man is white, he carries the Y chromosome. That is the paternal lineage. You are who your father is. Have you ever heard the statement that a picture speaks 1,000 words? The artist is screaming at us here. He's representing the Europeans and what they did to us, our ancestors. We would have asked what kind of people would do something like this, but we know now. We know where they came from and who they are. They've ripped mothers from their babies. They've ripped wives from their husbands. And they would rape them right in front of the husband to humiliate him, to destroy him. There's nothing worse than taking away a man's power, making him weak. Do you see how the artist represented them as a sort of a ghost, a spirit, an evil spirit? This is what they've done for centuries, brothers and sisters. Thousands of years. They've had this deviant behavior. All you have to do is look in their movies. They tell you what they are about. That's where that word booty comes from. Booty means the spoils of war. But they transferred it to the woman because she is the number one spoil of war. And the black women have the booty. Now we know for a true fact through history what his ancestors, the ancestors of this Neanderthal, remember, this is their forefather, not Noah, not Adam. This is their forefather. They call him the other human. His ancestors have a resume of killing, stealing, and destroying everything they put their hands to. So we have an idea how he functioned. Remember today, the Europeans state that they're civilized. This is before they were civilized. Look at the Himba woman. I chose her because this is the oldest group that is in Africa that is still living pretty much the same as they did for thousands of years. We're going to use her as the example of Japheth and his family tree, who walked into Europe. Look at her. She has her mudlocks of clay, red clay. Look at her skin. She has makeup on. The red clay that comes from the earth. It must be some benefits in that red clay. Look at her skin. Look at how flawless it is. We need to order some of this red clay. Picture this in your mind. Japheth, his tribe, his women, his cattle, his sheep, his goats, migrating into the European continent. There, they encounter the other human. They crossed over into his borders. Do you think he welcomed them? Or did he see them as intruders? Or did he see them as a meal ticket? Because remember, they were hunter-gatherers. They didn't know anything about being a shepherd. All they knew how to do was to kill. That's how they survived. So when they saw these black folks traveling through their land, squatting on their land, do you think they welcomed them and brought them cookies and said, "Welcome to the neighborhood"? They pulled out their bats, and remember how big and brawny and strong they were. They pulled out their bats and their clubs and attacked. Now we know about genocide because this is what they've practiced down through the centuries. When it comes to genocide, you always kill the men because the men have the Y chromosome, DNA. You have to kill the men, and then you take the women as the booty. Do you think that the Himba woman looked upon him and said, "Oh, my heart is fluttering for him. Look at the way he swings that bat. He is so sexy." That white skin and that smell. What is that smell? Putrid cave filth. It is just so wonderful. Do you think that happened? We've already established who they are. In modern times, they're doing this. This is when they're civilized. What do you think happened before civilization? Who brought them civilization? We did. Japheth disappeared off the face of the earth and was replaced with the Y chromosome DNA of the Neanderthal. And they state even today that they've come on this human stage through the woman. What woman was that? The one that came out of sub-Saharan Africa. This is how they claim to be on the world stage. But let me straighten this out. You are who your father is. The Y chromosome DNA tells the story. Mitochondrial DNA and Y chromosome. Wikipedia. Listen to this, brothers and sisters. No evidence of Neanderthal mitochondrial DNA has been found in modern humans. How many of you understand this language? They put it in these forms because they know that we have very low reading comprehension. But the Father has given me very high reading comprehension. So let me explain this to you. There was no mitochondrial DNA, which comes from the woman. In this case, they're speaking of the Neanderthal woman. There was none of her mitochondrial DNA found in modern humans today. Who are these modern humans that it's talking about? Europeans and Asians. Listen to me. No Neanderthal woman mitochondrial DNA was found in any of these modern humans today. That's the Europeans and Asians. I hope you understand so far. Let's continue. This suggests that successful Neanderthal admixture, see that word admixture, either through rape or consent, happened in pairings with Neanderthal males and modern human females. Who are these modern human females? We're talking about the woman that came out of sub-Saharan Africa. Let me say this again. The Neanderthal males mated, raped the modern human females. I gave you both sides. Either it was consensual or it was rape. Do you understand what they're telling you here? The Neanderthal is alive and well today in Europeans and Asians. The Y chromosome DNA tells the story. It points you back to the paternal lineage. From father to father to father, straight down through the generations, thousands and thousands of years, you can trace your lineage all the way back to your forefather. Who are the forefathers of the Europeans and the Asians? The Neanderthal, as they call him. How did he come on the human stage? Through this modern human female. Do you understand what they're telling you here? The black woman, as they call her, is definitely the mother of all living. The Neanderthal woman doesn't even exist anymore in modern humans. Look at this. Possible hypothesis. Now they're going to give you their hypothesis. I gave you my hypothesis before about the rape events, which is rooted in facts. It's rooted in history. It's their resume. Let's see what their possible hypothesis has to say. Possible hypotheses are that Neanderthal mitochondrial DNA had detrimental mutations that led to the extinction of the carriers. The carriers in this instance is who? The Neanderthal woman. That the hybrid offspring, you see what it's called when you mix a Neanderthal with a modern human female, the ones from sub-Saharan Africa, you get a hybrid. But in this instance, it's talking about something else. That the hybrid offspring of Neanderthal mothers, what are they suggesting here? That the males went into the mothers, were raised in Neanderthal groups, and became extinct with them. That doesn't even make sense. Because we found nothing, no Y chromosome DNA from these so-called black men in these Neanderthals or in the modern humans. What did they find? Mitochondrial DNA, which came from the woman, which tells you whose bloodline they come from. Let's read on. Or that the female Neanderthals and male sapiens, which is the black man, did not produce fertile offspring. It's going to be hard for you to do that if you've already killed the men and took the women. Remember, that is their resume. So that's their hypothesis. Now let me give you my hypothesis. When these Neanderthal men first met up with these modern human females, remember how they looked. They must have been absolutely gorgeous to them. They must have just went crazy when they saw them. So they killed the men and took the women. You must see this movie, Quest for Fire, and you'll understand what I'm about to tell you. So after this Neanderthal, this is my hypothesis, okay, took this woman into their cave and raped her. I don't think it was consensual at first. But over time, she had no place to go. She had no man to lead her. So she took on the mantle of the people that she was with, these other humans. And she began to live in their group. But she had something to offer more than any Neanderthal female had to offer. One was good looks. Two, she was clean. Here's another one. She knew how to make a fire. They didn't have to eat raw meat anymore. She knew how to cook. Hey, it's a black woman. She put some seasoning on that food. What is the way to a man's heart? Through his stomach. Here's some other things. They were hunter-gatherers. She was a shepherd-planter. She showed them how to make their flocks bigger. She showed them how to raise cattle and sheep. She showed them how to plant their own food. She showed them how to store it up through the winter until the next season. She was far superior to the Neanderthal woman. The Neanderthal man didn't know how to do it, so she showed him how to get it on correctly. My hypothesis is that he took that Neanderthal woman and kicked her out the cave. You don't have any worth. This woman can do everything. She can bring home the bacon and fry it up in a pan and never let you forget that you're the man. That's a little television thing there. What do you think about my hypothesis? Remember, she became extinct. The only mitochondrial DNA that they have found in modern humans today comes from what female? The one from sub-Saharan Africa. So this is proven now through DNA. His ancestors mixed with her ancestor and brought forth what? A hybrid, a cross between the two. FamilyTreeDNA.com. Paternal lineages test. Your direct paternal lineage is the line that follows your father's paternal ancestry. This line consists entirely of men. Y DNA follows the direct paternal line. Your Y chromosome DNA, Y DNA can trace your father, his father's father, and so forth. Did you hear that? You can trace through the Europeans their DNA all the way back to the Neanderthal. It's evident now. It offers a clear path from you to a known or likely direct paternal ancestor. This seals the deal. So what happens now, Brother David? We have all of this Neanderthal, people from the Neander Valley, the other humans, the seed of the fallen ones, the seed of the serpent. I mean, we have so many different things to look at. Which one is it? All we know is that we have mixed, we have an admixture of another species of human inside of us that is causing all types of breakdowns and sicknesses. The Father told us, he said he was going to put on us every sickness that is not even listed in the book. Now we're learning that these sicknesses are coming from who? The so-called Neanderthals. This is a terrible curse for us, brothers and sisters. We have truly been destroyed. Do you know what it means when your seed is spoiled? It means destroyed. But look at this. Joel chapter 3, verse 17 to 20. This is when our Mashiach returns. Our enemies are defeated. Verse 17. So shall ye know that I am Yahuwah, your mighty one, dwelling in Zion. So we know that this is the last day he's going to be dwelling in Zion, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, set apart, and there shall no strangers, you see that, pass through her any more. Those days are done. The borders are closed. Verse 18. And it shall come to pass in that day that the mountains shall drop down new wine, and the hills shall flow with milk, and the rivers of Judah shall flow with the waters, and a fountain shall come forth out of the house of Yahuwah, and shall water the valley of Shittim. So we know that this is not a past event. This is something new. Verse 19. Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness. What are we talking about? Saudi Arabia, brothers and sisters. For the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. You see what he said against the children of Judah? Where are we at? We're in the Americas. We're in all of the Arab countries around the world. They have treated us so wickedly that it is beyond imagination, and they will pay for what they have done. Verse 20, but Judah shall dwell forever. We're not talking about everybody. Only those who find Yahuwah. Those who seek him with all their heart, mind, and soul. Those who keep his commandments. And Jerusalem from generation to generation. Now look at this. Verse 21. For I will cleanse their blood. Who is this I? Yahuwah. Who is this there? The children of Yasharol. What is he going to cleanse? Blood. What is our blood tainted with? A strain, a chromosome, a genome that comes from the other humans that I have not cleansed. He hasn't done it as yet. For Yahuwah dwelleth in Zion. This is the plan. For all of those who endure to the end, you will be cleansed. In the New Testament, Paul says, you will be changed in the twinkling of an eye. You shall put off the corruptible and become incorruptible. Do you see what the Father has planned for us? You don't qualify for this if you don't love Yahuwah with all of your heart, your mind, your soul, and keep his commandments. Those are the ones who qualify. Here's another one. You do not qualify for this cleansing if you came from the other bloodline. This cleansing is only for the children of Yasharol. He even stated one specific tribe. He said Judah. Why did he point out Judah above all the rest? Where has Judah been taken? Around the world in ships. To where? To the European countries. What happened? They raped our women repeatedly. They introduced into our blood this Neanderthal genome. We have become corrupted. If you are from this bloodline, this is a slippery slope that I'm about to embark upon. I need to thread the needle very carefully. To qualify for this cleansing, it's only for seed. Whose seed do you come from? Are you from this black man's seed? How do you know if he's black? We're all tainted, right? Well, you have to get there and trace these men back from generation to generation to generation. You only have to go back 2 or 3, really, to find your history. If your ancestor was a white man, and he brought forth a son who is light-skinned, very light-skinned, but he looks like us, but his father is white, guess what? He's white. You are who your father is. They do not qualify for a cleansing. You would not be seed. Never mind you came from the black woman. She has no seed. She has mitochondrial DNA. She gave you your color, your hair, and your body. But the nuclear DNA that you can trace from generation to generation to generation is through the male, not the female. So you don't qualify. So for all of our ladies today that are entertaining men who are white or from the other humans, your children will not qualify for this cleansing. How terrible does that sound? Well, most likely they won't qualify anyway because they won't gravitate towards Yahuwah. What about the black man who goes into the white woman? His seed is spoiled, corrupted, destroyed because of introducing his seed into this woman. Now remember, the black man, the ruddy man, was not allowed to mix with the European women until the 60s and the 70s. So all of the people who were produced from the other bloodline came through this woman's womb until now. But if this black man, his seed has been placed into a European woman, a white woman, one of the other human's womb, his seed is corrupted, it is spoiled. But if you gravitate towards Yahuwah, keep his commandments, love his name, keep his Sabbaths, guess what? They qualify for a cleansing. Why do they qualify, Brother David? Because they're seed. The seed that comes from Adam. The seed that comes from Noah. The same seed that our Mashiach came through. Even though corrupted, if that seed finds its way back to the mighty one, you qualify for a cleansing. Don't mix your seed, brothers. Ladies, stay away from the Europeans. Your seed will be denied. Continue to part 6. Let's look at the diseases. Shalom.